It is Friday. You know what that means? We're going to build wins live together. My cohort, my buddy, my pal, my friend Wes Wyatt is in the background running dials, being Mr. Man behind the curtain. And so I have to be really good or he pulls me off the air. So we will try to be the best we can. And we have a friend of mine from a long time ago today, Jason St. John. Jason is an old sales pro, even though he's quite a bit younger than I. We go back so far that we just chatted about some places we got together to some watering holes together, in which we will do again this summer. So you're going to love Jason because he comes not only from the industry, but he's a new kind of sales guru, like I kind of picture myself to be, or trying to be, learning to be, taking the old and the new and hybriding it, if you will. And we're just going to have a good old sales talk and going to enjoy it. And I got to shout this out even before we go to the bumper. And Jason is Kirsten. You won. You do win the prize. Well done. Hey, we'll be right back with my friend Jason. Don't go away. Boom. Here we are, buddy.
Hey, we're here.
I'm not even sure it can get better than this, can it?
Well, maybe.
We could be at the Riverwalk having a afternoon drinky poo or something, I suppose. But
Watching the boat sail by.
Watching the boat sails by. Hey, Kellen Ann's on. Hey, well, thank you for coming, Jason. You know, it's great to have you. We've talked about this for a little while, and I don't know. Before we get started, but we've known each other for years. But before we get started, give us the little Jason St. John story. Who in the world are you? And well, where are you? As in, where's Waldo?
Where am I?
Do that too, but you know.
Yeah, I'm in the great state of Michigan. The path my life has taken. Let's see. We can sum this up. I think the calling for sales, and Randy, I talked to you about this the other day when we were talking, and is how many remember going back to Boy Scouts for me, and we sold the Tom Watt kits, and it was a kit we'd walk around with around just before Thanksgiving, and you'd had full of stocking stuffer Christmas crap, if you will.
Yep.
And we would sell it. And I think at that age, that's when it kind of started setting into me that, hey, this might be something I can do. Of course, then you go to high school and they tell you need to go to college, which I didn't do. I ended up working with my father for a while in the glass industry, and then ended up moving across the state and getting married and starting life on my own, and just found my way working right back into the industry, and then working my way into metal roofing industry. And then that's where Randy and I's paths crossed, and the friendship started there. And just moving and transitioning from inside sales to outside sales to now I'm a manufacturer's rep that covers the state of Michigan, and you know, just networking and gaining the connections. But I think for me, sales has always been in my blood. It's selling a solution, not a product. I'm going to sell the solution to fix the problem or the need that the customer has. And I think that's or at least finding one, even if it's not my own product. Right. You know, we Randy, you and I talked about that. We know people. It's what we do. We're in the people business, and we sell that solution. And whether it's our product or a product that, you know, someone else has, we can find that solution. I think that's the big thing.
Yep, exactly. Well, and you've been one of those guys that since I met you, I knew you're a true pro, and I'm going to guess I'm about 20 plus years older than you, I think, thereabouts, but we don't need to go there. Quit nodding your head. Wes, quit nodding your head. Look at him. He's just nodding like crazy. I got to put a
bobblehead
tape over him. Yeah, it's like a bobblehead. Anyway, you know what? I digress often, but I just realized that we could sell bobbleheads of Wes. We'd just like to sit and just pop that, and Wes's head just bobbling. You met Wes a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I think that there he's bobbling. Anyway, so by the way, Kirsten, she says that she loves your flag in the background. That's awesome. That's
back to blue.
Back to blue, buddy. Kirsten's husband is a police officer or retired. Kirsten will pop on in a minute and tell us. I think he may be retired, but either way, huge thanks to all LEOs. Absolutely. And everybody else that keeps us all safe and living the dream, right?
That's right. Giving us our freedoms.
You got it. You
Yep.
got it. Aaron says can't be more than 10 years difference. I like you, Aaron. Is that your Aaron? I think Jason, he's dissing on you. I think he said you look old.
You know, I
My
look good for
show,
my age, is what everyone
my
tells me.
show, my show. Don't insult the host.
I'm not going to insult the host.
Oh, yeah. So Kirsten, yeah, her husband's retired police officer. So thank him for us, my friend.
Yes, thank him
Um,
for sure.
I don't know if you know Kirsten. She's a trader at LBM Advantage, the
No,
old
I don't know.
PAL and ENAP group. You know, they group
Yep, yep,
together.
yep. Know the
Um,
group.
good friends, good pal. We've known each other forever. We talk about that quite often, as a matter of fact. But so let's rock and roll. So you got started in sales. You knew it just drew you back, and
Yeah.
same thing that I experienced is I got out of sales for about 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I lose track, and was a purchasing agent for a while in the
Mhm.
business, in the industry. And like you just said, there's something about it just draws us back. You know, not that I hated where I was at or hated anything really about it, other than it just wasn't sales. It wasn't being on the road helping people and making friends, and that's the beauty of it. So tell us a little bit about your theory on what we do. What makes Jason good? Because you are.
Well, I put it in the thing this morning when you guys are doing your test run is I think it's a combination of modernization of the old soul work ethic and tactics. And what does that mean, right? I mean, if anything, I think through the last 2 years, we have all learned that modernization is the wave of the future with sales and customer service, any of that. It's the modernization. What do I mean? Well, Teams and Zooms and podcasts and not necessarily having to go in and be face to face. A text message solves a solution or delivers a solution just as easy as being there talking to the person. But I think you still have to have that ethic of going in and showing your appreciation to your customer. You also have to have the tactics to go in and do so. And, Randy, I know you and I both, we sell to a community of people who don't have technology.
Right.
And, I met with one yesterday and sat down and had lunch with him. And that's what he said. He goes, you're one of the only few reps I have that actually sees me on a monthly or even quarterly basis. And I was like, that struck me because I'm probably one of the younger ones out in the industry pushing products that they use, that he's like, I'm grateful to see you. So I think it's having to move forward. We have to keep that mix going because we do have other customers in our industry that are young and swabby, and they thrive on that technology and they thrive on the modernization of the future and how things are going. And, I mean, how many distributors out there that I have that have apps that a contractor or a builder can sit at home and put his entire list together and it's delivered the next day, simply sitting in his couch pushing buttons on his phone.
Right.
That's the modernization, being able to do that for your customers, I think. And for me, that's really where I come from. I look at it differently than most people. So,
yeah. And that's what's interesting to me, Jason, as we've talked and especially the last couple of years, because we both come from that 2.5 years ago. We were just ironclad road warriors, period.
yeah,
Right. That's what we did. We was on
on the
airplanes,
miles.
rental cars, pounding in windshield time, hotels, donuts, coffee and donuts, brewski and burgers in the evening, those kind of thing. Um, Eric, yeah, I push buttons. All right, buddy. I'm a button pusher. Not always good. Not,
It is cool.
but when I push too many, that's when I travel, whether I need to or not. I know when to get out.
Dixie lets you know that, right?
Oh, very much so. Yes. Yeah. She's not shy. The hashtag the Dixie chick will let me know when I've crossed the line, which is Eric Bam, no more than 7 times an hour. So I mean, it is what it is. But hey, it's what it is. But we've learned so much, right? Nobody wanted this whole, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, because nobody wanted this whole world of COVID, right? COVID, pandemic, lockdown. We can call it whatever we want to call it, and probably a lot of it falls on where we fall on all kinds of beliefs, including political, right? And none of that matters. It all happened. That's all that matters. Not a good thing. It was a terrible thing.
Right.
But I think winners always win, and winners always, and I'm talking, when you talk wins, I want to clarify something. I always do this because I always feel bad, and I do posts and stuff. Every once in a while, I clarify that I'm a sales guy, right? When I talk building wins, I'm not talking just sales wins, just
Mm-mm.
selling stuff and getting a commission. I'm talking, sales wins, business wins, personal, health and fitness, spiritual, on and on and on, right? Because
Right.
all wins all compound with each other. That's my view, right? But I don't know about you, but I never, I don't know if I would have made the gigantic changes that I've made in my approach to my sales life without having had this happen,
Mhm.
because I was very good at what I did. I was very comfortable with what I did. I was very used to leaving on Sunday afternoon, Monday morning at 6 and coming. That's just what I did.
Yeah.
And so there is not that I'm glad it happened, but I'm glad that for some reason something clicked in my head. And a lot of that had to do with two people that are on here right now, my producer, director, brother, pal, buddy, Wes Wyatt, and Eric Bam, that's popped up here, as a mastermind group that we're involved with. And
Mhm.
it got us started down this road of using technology. So give me your views, because I really want to hear it from a guy a few years younger than I. You've already talked about that you see that modernization, technology. Is that made a little difference in how you do life? A lot of difference, or holy crap, wow, big difference?
I think for me, it was a sense of we were complacent. Okay. We were complacent in the fact that, like you said, we knew we were leaving Sunday afternoon or we were leaving 6 o'clock Monday morning. We knew our routine, we knew where we were going, and we knew who we were seeing, how long it was going to take. We had a schedule built out 2, 3 weeks, right? I mean, typically we're
Hmm.
booked 3 to 4 weeks out in advance. Well, I think that complacency got disrupted,
Yep.
and we couldn't go and meet with our customers. So we were forced, in a sense, to make the changes. How do I still get to see your face to face? I can't do it through my phone. So we get technology now, and I think that was a good thing, and we adapted. Is as much as us salesmen and saleswomen out there, we adapted pretty well. Even though the technology, we may have fought it,
Yep.
and I think that's been the change. And so for me, it's being willing to jump on a Zoom call and do a product training. Well, how do you do that? Well, you had to think outside the box. You sent the samples to every one of the other guys' reps to their homes because they were doing the exact same thing you
Right.
were doing. They're at home. So you sent the samples to them, and then as you gave your presentation, they had the stuff to touch and feel. Well, it's just like being right there in the conference room,
Yep.
right? Oh, what else did we discover? What else did I discover? Uber Eats,
Oh, yeah.
right? Well, I can't do luncheons, but I can do an Uber Eat delivery to each one of those guys' house, have lunch, and let's have a lunch meeting. So it was the creativity side of the piece of the puzzle that I was really, I really enjoyed. I really liked that because it was like, wait, here's somebody who's doing it different because everybody else was doing Zooms, but I was doing boxed lunches, I was doing donuts, I was doing, hey, what's your Venmo? Here's $50. Go buy yourself a bottle of brandy or a bottle of wine. And Friday at 4:30, let's sit down, let's have a toast and just vent about the week. These are things that I had started complying and started moving and coming and bringing into my day-to-day interaction. Now, did things change? No, I still got up at 6 o'clock, did my morning routine, got ready, got dressed, and then came down to the office
Hmm.
instead of going and sitting in the car. But I think, for road warriors like yourself and myself, looking at the odometer, I'm like, this is crazy. Typically at this time in the game, I'm 3 months in, I'd have close to 10,000 miles on my car.
Right.
I don't have that. And you're going, I haven't had an oil change in a while. This is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, and I think the other thing too, Jason, that we've both found is, and it took me a while to get used to it, but once I got used to it and found how these things work, I still enjoy. Don't get me wrong. I love going on trips.
Mhm.
I love because in the industries that we both are in, and we have some crossover. We probably even have some identical customers that we call on.
Probably.
Um, could even be competitive as far as we both sell some underlayment products. You may sell them and I don't, or I may and you don't, but that's all fine. It's all part of the game. Um, but the point is, um, I think I quickly learned that on a road trip, yeah, you with cell phones and blue and earbuds and all that, you can make phone calls while you're driving, and we all do.
Mhm.
You can do all those things, but the touches that we can have with customers by 9 o'clock in the morning are more than we would have in a week
Oh
of
yeah.
traveling, right? And I don't care how efficient we might be with our travels. When you're doing rental cars, in my case, a lot of rental cars and airports and airplanes, and there's no way that I'm going to see if I'm really good and maybe an area like I don't know Holmes County, Ohio, where I've got 7 guys within 30 minutes of each other. I'm not going to see 7 guys ever in a day, right? I'm going to see 2 or 3 if I'm lucky.
Right.
Where, like I said, 8:30, 9:30 in the morning. Besides all the social media and all the other stuff that we use, right? Which we'll talk about some if you want, but to keep our name out there, to keep our
Yeah.
image, to keep our message. I've already talked to 20 people by 9:30 in the morning, right?
Oh, and that's absolutely the truth. And it was like, you know, for us, our company, I work for Resisto. I'm part of the Suprema group, and so they had to adapt and learn the changing culture as well. And I think for them, it was like, hey, management was trying to figure it out, and they're like, well, make sure you're making, 7 contacts a day. Okay, I started at 7 this morning, and by 7:30, I'm done. Now, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
You know,
easy day. Thank you.
yeah, it was easy, great. Now I'm gonna go out and chip balls in the backyard. But I think they quickly adapted and hey, do this, do that, and change out who you're doing and whatnot. And I think the best thing for me, apart from the Seussism, Dr. Seuss book, and hey, putting that in practical use, was another book by Spencer Johnson, Who Moved the Cheese?
Mhm.
Right, great book. Simple. Two mice live inside a box, and the cheese gets moved. But that was really, I think, when my manager asked me to read that, and I read it, I ended up getting the rest of all the books and read all of them because it was just one led into the other. And I think the biggest takeaway for me was you can't be afraid to try something.
Right.
If you fail at it, well, you've got a nugget to learn. And if you succeed, you got to win.
Yep.
But both of them are a win. So
Exactly.
and that's the biggest thing is, and I tell guys that are starting out, I've got a buddy of mine who's transitioning from insurance sales to trying to get into the industry and potentially sell some stuff in the construction industry. And, I would tell him this: don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
Just don't be. We all
Because you
have.
don't, if you're afraid of failing, you'll never fully be successful because you don't try anything, right?
Right.
And everything that you and I, Wes, Eric Bam that jumped on, I don't know if he's still there or not, but everything that we've done in our industries um, that we're doing today, we weren't doing. I speak for myself. Uh, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we weren't doing any of this, and and Aaron Carpenter, a good friend of mine that we work together on with one of the manufacturers that I'm very involved with, Marco Industries. He's a regional sales director, and like he just said, love the don't be afraid to fail mentality, and he's 100% right.
Yeah.
If you become paralyzed, and I was talking to a friend of some of ours on here, and a guy that's going to be on my show in a few weeks, Steve Rizzo, this morning, because I talked this morning. I put out a post about his book that I'm reading, Bob, Conversation with Bob, and I'm going to tell you, we talked about that exact same thing. Is, man, if you get up every day and you're doing everything, so I'm not going to fail. I don't want to do that. I'm afraid. Well, then you might as well just put yourself in bubble wrap and set in a corner, right? Because that's what's going to
Absolutely.
happen to you.
Yeah.
You don't plan on failing, and see,
No.
that's where I think so many people misunderstand that concept if they don't think about it. Well, you're saying it's okay to fail? I'm not saying you intend to fail. I'm
No.
saying you do everything in the world not to fail, but you have to not be afraid if it happens, because you hit on a minute ago. Because I use this image in my head I talk about sometimes of building a virtual wind pile, right? Keep
Hmm.
throwing winds, any kind of winds, it doesn't matter. So you just keep throwing a wind on there, and you hit it a minute ago so well, Jason, is if if I failed, I know something that didn't work, so I'm further ahead than I was,
You ain't
and
gonna do
and
it
and,
again.
and I'm not going to do it again, hopefully. But secondarily, um, when I start again and I pick the pieces back up, I'm way ahead of where I was. Right?
Oh
If
yeah.
it took me 4 months of this to finally hit failure, I'm starting 4 months ahead. Right?
Yes.
So,
And I think that's a big conception that we and I don't want to get political, but it's everybody gets a trophy, right?
mhm,
We we
I agree with
we've
you.
we've you're not going to get a trophy every time.
Right?
You're just not. And it's I always go back, and for me the wins are always the flashback into a cartoon I seen. It's a goal, a miner, and he's chiseling away, and he's one whack away from hitting the biggest gem he ever found, and he walks away from it. Why? Well, I failed every time he struck and knocked a rock down. He keeps failing. Well, that's just one less rock that you got to dig through to get to the victory. And I think it's that perception that we sometimes hide ourselves with, or lie to ourselves about, is, well, I'm going to be a failure. I'm just going to always fail. I always do. Well, no. Every time you fail, you're winning one step closer to the victory. And so,
Yes. So,
that's for me. That big takeaways for me is through all of this has been that don't be afraid to
yeah.
fail.
Yeah, yep, exactly. You also hit on something earlier. You used the word that I like a lot is, and we did it a lot in the last couple of years, which is adapting, right?
Mm-hmm.
A massive amount of adapting. And, and a good example is we're sitting here on this show today. 2 years ago, I didn't even know what podcasts were hardly. In a live stream video podcast going live, are you nuts? I mean, I didn't even know that was in my head, right? But and you talk about fear of failure, and it's a story I tell once in a while. And Wes will, he'll remember the day when we talked about this concept of doing Building Wins live. We was going to do it the first. We did Tuesdays, I think, at the start, which was dumb. But I wasn't traveling, because anybody that's a road warrior knows that T to T is always travel, right? Always. I hit a mindset of I'm not traveling, so I might as well do Tuesday. Why not?
Yeah.
That's why we changed it. But I remember we had a date set, right? And we was getting all the format put together, and it's been an evolving project. And I kept saying, well, Wes, it's a lot for you to do. We can, rather than the third week of January, we can do it the 15th or the 20th. And he finally said, be there on the 3rd, 12 noon, period. And he did not allow me to fall into that same trap, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
was, I'll put it off because I'm afraid, because
Yeah.
I'd never hosted a live show in my life,
Right.
and it
Well, you
scared me.
stop and you,
You know,
yeah, and you stop and you think about it. For us, before we would travel down a road, how many times have you driven past a potential lead? I'm going to use that, right? A
hmm
business that you see, hey, I need to stop in there. Hey, I need to stop. How many times do we drive up and down that road going to see a customer, one side or the other side of them, and we never went in to see them, right?
yeah,
We always had an excuse. Oh, I'm going to be late for my next meeting, or I don't have time for this, or whatever. And maybe that was a win if you would have just stopped in.
yep.
And it's the same thing with technology. I'm not gonna babble in that. I'm not any good at that. You know,
Thank you, Kristen. I
now he's
don't
a
know.
pro. Yeah, he's a pro.
I
All
know.
right.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but Wes makes me look good
Yeah,
and great
but I
guests.
think I think through this we've learned that a podcast or a live podcast is a connection made,
hmm
and just because I can't log in and watch your podcast these on Fridays doesn't mean I can't go back and watch them at a later time.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I can't go back and revisit that customer that I never stopped into. But now we can direct our customers to, hey, I got a podcast I really want you to listen to, or hey, I got this nugget on my page. Go check it out.
hmm
It's a revolving billboard for us.
Exactly. And
So,
and now with all the technology, like you said, you can if they have technology, a lot, as you said, a lot of our customers from the plane community don't have technology, but uh, so we do a little more old school, if you will, in that arena. But with Zoom or Teams or whatever you want to use, it's so easy now to reach out to that customer that maybe you just never got to, should have, but never got to, because you can look, I'm not going to be in the area for a few weeks, but let's just jump on and get to know each other a little bit, because I'm a, the old story, if a picture paints 1,000 words,
Mm-hmm.
which was by Bread, in case you were remember that song. I'm old. But if a picture paints 1,000 words, well, so what does video do, right? What is live chatting on Zoom? Is it 10,000, a million? I don't know. It's astronomically
Yeah.
compounded, right?
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
Because you and I just, if I call you up as a customer, yeah, it's just a voice, right? But if you and I are talking, we're getting to know each other. I'm seeing your mannerisms. I can tell whether you're listening or you don't care, or you want to go, or you can see as a sales guy, I believe what I'm telling you. I'm interested in seeing if we can find a way to help you, right?
Right.
You miss so much of that with voice only, right?
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, before COVID, we could read body language. That was our big selling point. All right, shut up. You said enough. Or
Right.
nope, he's listening to everything you're saying. COVID happened. We went to making phone calls and sending emails, right? Because at that time, yes, Zoom was there and Teams was there, but we didn't really use them. Then all of a sudden we introduced Teams, and now I can see you, or Zoom or whatever. I can see you, and guess what? I can read your body language again. I can read the signals, like you said, that you're giving off, whether you're engaging or you're not. And I can deliver, hey, give me a thumbs up on the screen if you think I'm doing a great job, or applause, or whatever it may be, and now you're getting the interaction. Now they're actually paying attention, and it isn't just a screenshot of them moving their head every so often, right? So
Right.
I think for me, Zoom and Teams was an easy adaptation. Granted, it was different, but I think it was a good adaptation. And now that we're back to doing kind of what I call a hybrid, pre-COVID and COVID, we're kind of doing both of them now. We're living in the best days yet, I think.
Oh, from a sales standpoint, where we're at right now, you just nailed it. I've never been more excited about where we are
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to grow business than ever, because, and I'm glad that's a great segue, and we didn't even talk about a segue, but is it's augmentation now.
Yeah.
For me, that's the way I look at it. The road augments the social, if you will, being a social seller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what we're doing right now. And social selling augments the road. They augment each other. So I still see you. I'm going to see you in 4 weeks. We met. We had a burger and a beer, and we looked at some samples, and we think maybe we ought to do some business. I think I have something that works for you. You kind of like what I have, and we start down that next process. But that doesn't mean that I don't necessarily. I might not necessarily be able to get into Maine again for a while to see you in person, but we can do it on Zoom meetings or on team meetings, or I
Mm-hmm.
can shoot you something that I've done a lot of is including a video with emails or video with text, right?
Yep.
Rather than just sending a quote, I'll do a quick video, like 30 seconds. Hey, Jason, here's your quote on some fasteners on line 7 right here is the one that you're going to use the most. It's on its way. Boom, right? And all of a sudden, you have a relationship that's much stronger and much more interpersonal or personal,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, a bit more personal than what you'd ever had if you were just doing that on the phone, right?
Oh, absolutely. And for me, it's my role. I get to be somewhat a technician or a technical guy in the field, and I'll get phone calls from contractors or an email. Hey, my guys are going to be installing this new product, a below grade membrane for waterproofing, and we don't have the foggiest about it. Now I could simply go to YouTube, grab the instruction videos, throw them in links in an email, and shoot them an email. Now you're doing a video thing. But I do a step more than that. Hey, tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning, are all the guys going to be on the job site? Well, yeah, they're going to be on the job site. FaceTime me. You got an iPhone? Yeah, FaceTime me. Okay. And now I'm on FaceTime with them, And I have, for me, I have a chunk of ICF membrane in my garage, and I go out and I show them how to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
It's being creative and outside of the box thinking. I didn't have to make the 3.5 or 4 hour trip up the road to do that. It took me literally 35, maybe 40 minutes, answer their questions. Now the crew knows that I'm reachable and available to answer any of their questions anytime that they run into a snag. And it happens. I mean, they'll be going down a wall and all of a sudden there's a penetration. They got a flasher on. They don't know how to do it. Well, we'll just FaceTime Jason. He knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
I built that credit with the crew, not just the boss or not just the project manager, the actual installation, the crew that's doing the work, and it seems to be more and more people are adapting to that.
Yep.
So
as Kirsten said, above and beyond, which is 100% right.
Yeah.
It's and it's so much easier to do those above and beyond and exchanging stories. I found as I would set and work with my iPad and my laptop and my iPhone and notepad, working the phones, working the technology with customers when I was work from home, is I remember you chatting and I'm making notes and I'm working on my iPad and I remember a couple of times early on I'd say, well, you should have that samples on Monday of next week because I've already ordered them. They said, you what? I said, yeah, well, we're talking. I've already ordered you everything I think you should have as a sample. How about we chat next week, Wednesday, give you a couple of days to look at it. First place, you look like you're on your A game, right?
Right.
You're showing that you care, you're listening, and you're being responsive. But also from our personal standpoint as sales guys, I just eliminated 15 minutes after the call to now type all this email up and send this off to the customer service and one of my manufacturers with the address and doing all those things, putting it in my calendar later. What time did we talk about? When did we talk about? Or I guess I bet it's all done.
Right.
Right. I mean, you talk about a time saver.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's done and you moved on and you look more efficient and you are more efficient. And that customer, you build some credibility and you build some, hey, this guy's working on a little different level here, maybe.
Well, right. And if you think about it, if when you're in person, let's say you were at that account and he's like, hey, I could use samples. Now you're grabbing your scratch pad, you're throwing it in, or your phone and your notes, you're making notes of what you need samples, right? You couldn't place that order with customer service standing in front of him.
No.
And get the samples rolling. Because one, it's rude, in my opinion.
Right.
Because his time's valuable and you're talking to him about it. But then you get in your car, you check. The first thing you do as a salesman, you do what? You grab your phone. Well, who called? Who missed? What emails have I missed? And 35, 40 minutes later, you're going, what was I supposed to do?
Right.
You look, yeah, you got your notes, but I think that, being able to do it on the spot virtually goes so much further. And even though we're on a Zoom call or a Teams call with the customer, I'm going to say multitasking, it's almost an acceptable thing now. And I'm not going to say it's the appropriate, but it's almost an acceptable thing that, you're checking your voice, you're checking text messages and emails and all the other things, but you're engaged.
Right.
You're interacting.
And you know what I do with customers, I'm sure you probably do the same thing, but I will always say to them, I would say if you're a customer we're talking, I'd say, I hope you don't mind, Jason, but I'm going to take some notes here. Is that okay? Because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I want to make sure I've got everything down. And then at the end, I can read them back, say, okay, so what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to send you a sample of this. I'm going to quote you on the following items, and we're going to talk. What did we say next week, Wednesday? Is that good? 10:30? I think customers love the fact that they understand that we're just not sitting here blabbering, and I'm going to try to remember someday to call you maybe. Will he ever send me the samples? He pretty much just told me he just already ordered them up, right? Yeah. I think there's so I think it goes both ways, right? You're really doing a true customer service. Before we get too far and run out of time, which I know we will because we could talk for another hour or two, but Seussisms. Talk a little more about the book. You love the book Seussisms.
I do.
Tell us about
I don't know who has. I mean, I've got it sitting here, and I'll show you guys. it's simple. It's the Dr. Seuss, and it's phenomenal. Basically, what they did is they've taken, it's a guide to life. I give it. We used to use all the places you'll go. That was the big thing. You gave it to a graduate and be like, you're on your way to be great, do great. Here you go. This one is a guide for life, and I think this one's more for maybe a career changer or someone who's me. It was COVID, right? We're in the middle of something, and my wife tells me it's for graduates too, but she's probably right because she's a wife. But for those, but you open it up, it says for those just starting out. Well, that's every day. Right. So in my favorite line in all the places you'll go is you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself wherever you choose. Right. And I think for salesmen, that's our biggest struggle. We know we have the brains and we know we have the shoes, the tools, and we can steer ourselves in any direction. But how many times do we get distracted?
Right.
We
Often.
Right. The phone rings, an email comes in, a text message comes in. And so for me, that was reading that first page was like a wake up call for me. It was like, look, you got to get it nailed down in your home. You're not traveling. You got to get it nailed down for when you get back on the road, because it's going to happen. Face it, construction is an essential business for our world. It's going to happen. So for me, that's what was it. But the book is, I mean, I go through page by page and I'll just open it up, for this one, try new things. I don't like green eggs and ham. We know that book. All of us know the story, but I don't like them, Sam. It's not, have you ever tried green eggs and ham? I know I have. Tasted no different than regular eggs and ham. Right?
Right.
But
right.
It's something new. You were afraid. It's the perception of it, right?
Yes.
So, be patient. If I wait long enough, if I'm patient and cool, who knows what I'll catch?
Yep.
Right? In sales, we plant seeds. We're kind of like farmers. We go out and we plant little nuggets. We give solutions. We solve problems. Eventually, we're going to reap and yield off of all of those nuggets that we've sowed. And I mean, I think I think that goes in hand in foot with your and my relationship is, here all of a sudden I'm working in a new job, and in comes this crazy over the top product rep as I'm sitting there typing in orders as a customer service rep inside. And who is this guy? I gotta, for me, I gotta meet this guy. And then that's when, you and I were introduced to each other, and you can probably imagine where that was at. So,
Yep.
Yeah. And, for me, that's really the key takeaway is this book is, I just open it up, read something every day. I used to post every day, and life got busy, You know how that happens.
It does do that. Kirsten, thank you. Kirsten put a link to that on Amazon. So
nice.
wants to grab that, I'll add that to my 40 books that I've just been reading or am reading. I love to read, but boy, I bite off more than I can chew at times, but I try to get through.
Me keeping the storyline straight when I got 3 or 4 going is the problem.
Yes.
Like I read that in this book. Wait, no, it was actually in that book. And now I'm all confused.
It's harder for me and I haven't read a true novel, like a fiction, in a long time. And I like them, but there I've tried reading like a Clancy and somebody else at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, whatever happened to this character? Oh, yeah, that was in the other book. I get all messed up.
Yeah.
But so where are you at now? And I know it's hard to say because week to week varies, but generally speaking, for the balance of 2022, are you 50-50 road and virtual? Or are you a little heavier on the road now than virtual? Or is it, and when I say virtual, like we do virtual every day, whether I'm on the road or not. I've done several of these shows. I don't enjoy doing them that way, but from a hotel or my car when I've had to, I'd prefer to be in my home office with lights and stuff. But I'll do virtual wherever I'm at. But how are you seeing that? Because we're in the same industry. How
hmm
are you seeing that right now? Is it what can you put a percentage on that?
I think for me right now, it's probably about, hmm, I'm probably on the road. I'll say 75-25. Let's do
On the
that.
road? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, good example. This week I took off Monday, was on the road Monday, was on the road Tuesday, overnighted, came home Thursday, and yesterday I got home later in the afternoon. We had a memorial for a fellow for a family friend that I had to attend yesterday in the afternoon. But then today I've been home working and doing emails and correspondence. So at a minimum, I'm home 1 day a week, and I'm on the road the rest. Now overnighting for me, my territory is Michigan. I go up into the UP, so obviously I overnight there. But where I live,
Yeah,
I
you
can
could
be to
be.
all my accounts in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So I can shoot out in the morning, leave at 6. And you know how it is. You're not going to walk into a distributor at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
He's trying to get his trucks out. He's trying to get his guys started. So 8:30, 9 o'clock, you can roll into a branch like that, and the dust is kind of starting to settle a little bit. That's when you can hit it and plunk them around, hit your 4 or 5 accounts, and then I'm back home in the evening. Because I
Perfect.
believe that another thing that COVID has taught us is the work-life balance. If you look at us road warriors, we'd leave on Sunday, we wouldn't get home until Thursday night.
Right.
How many events in our children's lives or in our spouses' lives did we miss because we thought we were doing what was better for the family?
Right.
I mean, my wife and I, to do a little personal side here, is my wife and I were foster parents, and
Hmm.
we fostered for 3 years. We fostered 31 children, and they were juvenile delinquents. And every one of them that came into our home, that was their thing. My parents aren't around.
Right.
That strikes you when you're like, wait a minute, your parents aren't around. I mean, no, they let me do what I want. I come and go as I please. I can do what I want. So I think for me, that taught me, hey, my oldest son played lacrosse, wrestled, and played football. And I would find out, hey, where are you playing lacrosse at? Oh, I'm playing down in the Detroit area tonight. All right. Well, that's where my travel was for the day. And I ended up being able to, yeah, I stayed out of night. I stayed out of town that night, but I made it to his lacrosse game.
Right.
And I think that is really teaching me with COVID was you've got to be there, even if it inconveniences you for the next morning. Okay, so I have to get up at 5 and hit the road versus 7 like I'd like to, but I was there for my kid. And I think
Right.
that's a huge thing that COVID has taught is that work-life balance has to be balanced back out. We found a lot, just talking to other guys in the industry, and they're like, that's the biggest thing for me. I was home and my kids got really used to it.
Hmm.
And now we're back out hitting the pavement again. And they're like, Dad, why aren't you home? Mom, why aren't you home? And it's that has sunk for a lot of these guys. And we're seeing a lot of the guys that I'm going to say the veterans, they're
Hmm.
doing the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the road. I do one night, 2 nights on the week, but most of the time I'm home every night. Try to, anyways.
Yep.
So,
Yep. It's a word that I think we all came out of that with, which is adapt. We've adapted to so many things, right?
mhm,
But the more important thing than even the adaptations that we made is we became adapters. We've
right.
learned to expect change and learn to almost bring it on. Whatever it is, we'll adapt to it
Mhm,
because we did a lot of adapting, and that's one of them. I think you're very right. I think it was very easy for the road warrior personality. We are a unique breed at times,
yeah.
and one of our personalities is that go go go. I got to be there. I got to take donuts to them. I gotta. Well, maybe I don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have to. Maybe I can do a quick Zoom with them, right? So take care of business. But well, awesome. So you and I are going to get together shortly for some lunch, dinner,
Absolutely.
drinks, burgers, steak, fish, pizza
Up in
pie.
the
I don't know.
up in the beautiful part of the state.
Up in the beautiful part of the state. Exactly. Exactly. So, parting words, my friend. You gave us a lot of time, and I appreciate it more than you know having you on today. Some great wisdom. Uh, Parting words. to folks that'll catch us on replay over the next several weeks and forever into time, maybe 30 years from now, somebody will be looking at it going, man, that Jason guy was pretty smart.
Ooh,
Pressure.
pressure, right? I think I'm going to go back to the modernization of the old soul and work ethics and tactics. I think that's really the continual adaptation to the ever-changing things that we face. I think that would be a good way to sum it up. Is that for me, I tell people I'm an old soul stuck in a young body. I was taught by my dad in how to do things, and I think that really is what we have to do. So
yep, exactly.
yeah.
So good show, gents. Happy Father's Day and enjoy the weekend. You also, Aaron. Aaron, I
Yes, there too,
appreciate you,
Aaron.
brother, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with Aaron doing some Road Warrior stuff together. Third week of July, I think it is. I think so. We're gonna be doing some cruising, my old buddy. So that's good. And Kirsten, yes, I will be in Michigan, and yes, I do know where Grand Rapids is, and I do know where LBM is. So never fear, because Randy L. Chafee is here. I just made that up. That's pretty good, wasn't it? Anyway, that's like underdog, isn't that?
I'm
That was
going
an
to make you a
underdog.
bobblehead.
That was an underdog. You
Yeah, it
probably are
was.
too young to know. West knows underdog.
Oh
When
no, I remember
yeah,
Captain Underdog.
yeah, underdog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was an underdog, but then again, I was wrong on something earlier today. It was pointed out. So, I mean, Sly and the Family Stone did not sing "We Are Family." Apparently, it was Sister Sledge. But you can solve that, Jason. Who sang "We Are Family"?
Sister Sledge.
See, I said this morning I was convinced it was Sly and the Family Stone. I guess I just was wrong. So, first time.
That's us,
Six.
baby.
That's it, man. Good stuff. Well, Jason, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Good stuff. Good time. And hey, Wes, do you have his something fly for the fly guy happen exterior fly guy?
Pretty fly
Hashtag
for an exterior supply
pretty
guy.
fly for there it is. Follow Jason on. So you on? Is that what you use on Facebook,
Yeah.
LinkedIn?
Facebook, that's what I use. LinkedIn is just myself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because what more do you need than Jason?
Yeah, I know.
I should be just hashtag Jason. Call it a day.
Anyway. Maybe we can do, maybe as an invention today.
It might be. That's it. All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that with my friend Jason. He is a fun dude, and I think you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that. And so what are we going to do? Next week, we're going to do another live show. And this one is I talked to Wes earlier, and I'm going to use the word thrice because I'm going to use the word thrice. I like the word. It sounds good. It rolls off the tongue well. This would be the thrice or third appearance by a great friend. Somebody's become a great friend of Wes and I's. Whoops, wrong name there, dude. Okay, Ben's not coming now. Yeah, as you'll notice, that was Ben Gay the third. Wes is laughing in the background. Ben Gay the third. Mark Stover was on once, so I'll give him some shout out because he's the president of Permacolumn. So since he was up in name, we'll give him a little shout out. But Ben Gay the third, a living legend. And if you do not follow Ben Gay the third, that is at your very much detriment. You need to follow him, man. He's become a great friend of Wes and I and of the show. And yeah, sorry, Ben, Wes's fault. Anyway, but Ben is a true legend and champion of the sales world. He wrote and publishes the largest selling sales books series ever, 18 billion, I think, or something. Is a lot. The Closer series right there, and you made up for it, Wes. I think Ben will forgive you. Anyway, but he has stories with just some of the most well-known names ever in the industry of inspiration and sales, the Zig Ziglars of the world, the Earl Nightingales of the world, Norman Vincent Peale, just fun stuff. So he's going to come back for the third time, and so that's next week, 3:00. And you can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Facebook, and on YouTube. So do not miss it. Share it out, catch us on replay, and as always, make this your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.